All right, it is 8:32 a.m. on October 13th, and we will call this meeting of the Economic Development and Tourism Committee of the City of Port Orchard to order. Let's do some quick introductions. My name is John Morrissey. I'm the chair and your current at-large council member. Council members?
I'm Fred Chang, and my time is actually 9:32, not 8:32.
Heidi Fenton, City Council member.
Rob
Excellent.
Cantu, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Why don't we go through staff?
Nick Bond, Community Development Director.
Dennis Ryan, Public Works Director.
Noah Crocker, Finance Director.
Jim Fisk, Principal Planner.
Connor Dahlquist, Associate Planner.
And other than I think we have the clerk on here just listening. I think that's it for staff. Let's go around for our community members. So I can start this in order so I don't miss anyone. Why don't we start with Josh?
Hi, Josh Johnson. Beautiful day in the neighborhood, as Mr. Rogers was fond of saying. I'm the Public Information Officer on contract and also with Serotonin Creative and love Kitsap.
Thank you. Ms. Butler?
Sarah Butler. I'm with G. Anderson Group and the Downtown Waterfront Alliance.
Gary Anderson, Port of Bremerton, G. Anderson Group.
Thank you, you too. I see Mr. Davis.
Hi, I joined Joe this morning to check in with you all. James Davis with the Kitsap Economic Development Alliance.
All right.
And I see your partner in crime is here.
Hi, Joe Morrison, Kita.
Excellent. And now people's names are moving around. Did I miss anyone? Doesn't look like it. Excellent. Well, thank you all for being here. Much appreciated. With that, we're going to jump right into the agenda. And first thing here is our FIFA update. So I'm going to turn it over to Josh Johnson with the Serotonin Love Kitsap Group, who is doing work on multiple fronts for the city. Josh, take it away. We got you muted, buddy.
That would be helpful. Host disabled screen sharing. If I could get the ability to share my screen. Let me know when that's available to me.
Hang on, I usually get some little dots by your name, but that's not appearing.
Oh, geez.
All right, should be good.
Okay, all right. Host disabled screen sharing. Let me try one more time. No, it's not working.
I'll try it now, Josh. It just changed my mind.
Okay, all right. Here we go. Okay. Oh, what do we want to do? Entire screen or window? Entire screen, that could be dangerous. Let's just go ahead and roll the dice. Okay, let me know if you can see what I'm seeing. You see Port Orchard Destination Brand Identity?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So our last update was several months ago, kind of mid-summer, and I kind of lined out a lot of the numbers, a lot of the projected data around visitor attendance, potential estimations on Kitsap's share and Port Orchard's share of that visitor attendance and what that might mean, dollars to cents, as far as visitors go. And we'll dive in, we'll do a little refresher after this portion. But when we last adjourned on a FIFA update, I kind of lined out the next couple of steps, and I want to dive into one of those steps. And basically the last steps that we lined out several months ago was the creation, before we think about how to market, how to do, how to welcome guests, how to try to meet them digitally and in traditional media. I felt it was important to put together a somewhat comprehensive brand identity guide. We have a great logo. We have great color scheme for the city logo and stuff, but this is something that's really like a toolkit for when we not just think about FIFA, I mean, it's super important. This year, next year was the kind of the impetus to put this together, but really think about going forward. How do we present Port Orchard as a cohesive destination brand? So that was one of the takeaways from last time, was creating a brand guide. The next takeaway that we'll go into after the brand guide is I really did a deep dive into a lot of kind of research into potential avenues of marketing, a lot of traditional stuff, digital stuff. How do we want to do it? And then the third thing was on the ground kind of activities and engagement. So we'll start with the brand guide. And please, I can't see the screen because I'm kind of looking at my PDF pulled up here. But if anybody has something to chime in, please chime in with a question or a comment or what have you. So I'll just kind of breeze through this part somewhat quickly. It's 22 slides, but we'll go over everything I put together here. So really, and again, we're looking at this lens. We're all very familiar with everything that Port Orchard has to offer. But just kind of calling out some of the things that from a destination marketing, from a visitor point of view, like what are some of the really important things to highlight? Festivals, how walkable we are, our dining options, how ferry connected we are, downtown shopping, things like that. Strategic goal of this brand guide is to position Port Orchard as a charming, authentic, and enriching day trip and overnight base camp for regional and out-of-state visitors. An easy trip from Bremerton and Seattle. We aim to convert ferry traffic into overnight stays, event attendance, local business visits, and online buzz. We aim to build Port Orchard's brand identity as a Pacific Northwest destination. Our brand essence is we're a small, welcoming Pacific Northwest waterfront community rooted in maritime heritage, community spirit, and natural beauty. 40 minutes from Seattle by ferry, Port Orchard is known for its walkable waterfront, unique local shops and restaurants, farmers markets, festivals. Port Orchard is community focused and deeply connected to the rhythm of the Salish Sea. And these things like the strategy and the brand essence and stuff, it might kind of seem like, well, what's the point of this? This is how, think of, you're coming from Germany, you're coming from California, you're coming from different points. These are the types of words, these are the type of emotions we want to evoke to tell the story and to kind of get the hook as Port Orchard as a great day trip or a great place to book a hotel or a short-term rental unit. Okay, brand tagline. We needed a short and memorable tagline. All brands have a tagline. Nike's just do it. Ours that I came up with, and if you remember our last meeting, I had a big long list, and some people like this and some people like that. I really centered on anchored in community, and I think this pulls a lot of weight because it really calls out the maritime heritage, the culture of our area, and the beauty of the shoreline and our waterfront. But also, I think one of the unique brand identifiers of Port Orchard, we don't have a theme. I think our theme is that we're the community with the biggest heart, with the strongest community essence to it. So anchored in community is a brand tagline that I really like. And feel free to throw tomatoes at me right now if you don't like it. Okay, great. Perfect.
Josh, what were the other ones? How many others were there?
I don't have these listed now. There was many that we workshopped. There was things like the Heart of the Sound, the Heart of the Puget Sound. It was like Pacific Northwest Base Camp, Adventure Base Camp. Really thinking through like all the ways that, and what I really wanted to do with the tagline isn't just is kind of, it's kind of a tough trick to land. You want something that's going to hook travelers, but you also want something that locals kind of nod in agreement with, right? We don't want it to feel foreign for locals, like, hey, that's not really my experience of the community. And I feel like anchored in community is something that is going to really pull that double duty.
What one I recall too was Heart of the Peninsula.
Heart of the Peninsula. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And anchors will be a central visual cue for our brand identity. When we think about everything from our Mosquito Fleet history and the burgeoning Mosquito Fleet Festival that the identity is being built around, to the marina, to our ferry connectedness, I felt like that's a strong visual pull. Here's our current logo. And I felt that we needed almost a logo shorthand. So this doesn't go away. This is everywhere. This stays everywhere. But creating something that is a visual shorthand or a logo stamp that complements the same colors and the same kind of brand identity that our full logo has, but it has a different shape. For instance, this long flat Port Orchard logo, this doesn't always work for different applications. So this just gives us one more piece of visual brand cue. And I have two options here. Very, very different, but both using anchors as a visual cue that I'm hoping that becomes a part of the visual identity. You know, since I moved back, I grew up here, but I worked in tourism, travel, and marketing for 15 years in Seattle and LA. And ever since I moved back here, the conversation has just been revolving around, we need a theme, we need a brand, we need a central kind of a visual cue. You know, Paulsbo has this and Bainbridge has that, Gig Harbor has this. What is ours? And I feel like really playing into our waterfront assets is going to play to our strengths. So here are the two logo stamps I came up with.
Josh, I just want to say, I love this.
Great.
Port Orchard, anchored in community.
Oh,
and,
good.
Even like a year ago, I think to the powwow, and we wanted to get, I think it'd be really cool to get bigger anchors kind of down by the waterfront or wherever. And, you know, people find the anchors and
Yeah.
I don't know, but 100%.
Oh, good.
I do 100%.
That was the reaction I was hoping for.
Josh gave me this presentation on Friday, and I'm going to push back again here. The PO, I just don't. It doesn't ring well with me. I think it's kind of negative. Some, you know, BO or whatever. It just.
Port Orchard.
I'm not a fan of the using PO as an abbreviation, but I do like the other one.
Big fan.
I like the top one as well. I think that it shows the colors and brings in just the colors that you're trying to get into the community and hopefully we'll get the buildings painted those colors. Like just bring it in and make it Port Orchard. I like that top one a lot. And I have to agree with the mayor on the second one. It's not my favorite. It's a cool idea, but I kind of think it'll go to the negative side as well.
Really? Because then I think well, if we go to the top one, Port Orchard, that's not PO, that's the Port Orchard. And then it identifies us. It doesn't identify anybody else. It's
right. That's why I like the top one, whereas you just have one, the PO.
Oh yeah, gotcha. 100%. Yeah.
More towards, like you said, BO. Like it's just, unfortunately, that's just the way people think.
One of my, this is super good feedback. One of my inspirations for the bottom one, for the shorthand PO, is that I see a lot of stickers around the community that says PO in that heart shape. When I first moved back, that's when I first saw it 8 years ago. I thought, oh, this is really cool. And it's something that I think locals, it's more of like something that I really think that locals would appreciate the shorthand. And I know pissed off, body odor, things like that, those are different abbreviations, but many communities use the first two letters or the first letters or a shorthand of their community as an acronym. I'm agnostic. I designed them both. I like them both, but obviously I'm pitching these to the community for feedback.
Yeah, I hear you, Josh, but I agree with Sarah. Love the top one. I just don't know that I hear that others have been using it, but I don't know that that's how we should promote ourselves.
Josh, I think the second one could be used as a car decal because you have like VSH for Vashon, and we already have an oval PO sticker. This could be modified for that type of thing. So I don't see why you can't use both. I mean, obviously the top one would be the preferred one, but the second could just be a sticker.
That's kind of, so if you kind of drop down here, I did some mock-ups of what these might look like in the wild. And I did kind of see the top one, the full anchored in community, as something that is used in signage and waymaking, but the PO, I kind of saw this as a sticker and almost like a brand with apparel or swag or stickers or something like that. But and the beauty is we have the design files, we can use them, we don't have to use them, right? We
on the sweatshirt, adding the Port Orchard with it, that defines it. That looks great.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Super good feedback. Thank you. So kind of moving forward, I chose some font families that really tried to accent what we already had here. There was a very bold sans serif font in Orchard and more of a cursive handwritten casual font. So I looked for fonts that had a similar look and feel. And this is just something that, like, hey, when we're designing an ad or when we have to kind of sub in some of these fonts, these are font families that are very similar to what is already displayed in our full logo.
Josh,
Yep.
I think when you go back to something, right here, I think if we deploy this, definitely needs to be some how you use the different fonts as well, because I don't think a majority of us non-marketers would have that. So I would highly encourage sharing direction with the city about that.
For sure. Brand, a usage guide would be certainly appropriate. Good point. Yeah. Again, I took the 3 colors directly from the original logo and just chose 3 complementary colors. We can use them. We don't have to use them. This kind of just brings in more of a palette when we're thinking about design options with various, whether it's a logo or a sticker or a waymarker or an advertising, that try to kind of bring in different essence of the landscape. Deep forest green, the sunset orange, kind of like the sunset over Sinclair Inlet off the water. I created a series of brand icons, and these are in the lino cut style, an artistic style that is really kind of handmade and popular. And I had a couple of inspirations for this. One of them was the fact that Pawa has been using a local artist to do lino cut images, and they are really cool, handcrafted and unique looking. I also wanted to kind of visually hearken to our farmers market and our makers and kind of the sense of handmade elements. And you're thinking, like, where would we use these? Well, there's many different applications. It could be enamel pins, bags, swag. Again, this might not be something that's deployed directly by the city, but it could be something that a third-party marketer might want to use. It could be used in, we could do a custom FIFA soccer ball or things like that. And it really just is one part of a visual brand identity to try to bring in a full kind of spectrum, cohesive look to the vibe of Port Orchard, what it is and who we are.
I love
but
it.
I was going for handmade, farmers market, bespoke, Do you know, Sarah, do you know the name of that artist that y'all have used a few times?
It's Melanie Winnett.
She's awesome.
Woodwork. Oh yeah, absolutely. And I want that wall. Where can we put that wall? I want that wall. That's awesome. That's amazing.
Okay, great. Oh, good. Moving right along. I don't have to read all this verbatim, but just kind of looking at brand identity pillars, maritime heritage, community of the heart, natural beauty, and access to adventure. And again, destination marketing point of view. What are our core strengths, right? Brand values. Again, this really just informs. A lot of times we don't come right out and say these things, but when we write ad copy, when we think about our community and how we communicate about our community, these are the programs kind of running in the background going, how do we communicate to our target audience? Well, we're a place of exploration. We're a community of authenticity. There's nothing ostentatious about Port Orchard. We wear our heart on our sleeve. We're rooted in a sense of place. We're very welcoming. We're not pretentious. We're hardworking. And we have a heritage that we understand and appreciate. I lined out a few signature experiences when we start to think about welcoming FIFA. What are the things that we're really, and as we kind of go through these, you'll notice that most of these are waterfront. Almost all these are waterfront, because we understand that although people in short-term rentals and hotels do venture inland, the majority of our visitors are going to primarily experience our waterfront. So really leaning into that as the chief visitor experience. And I don't want anybody, I don't want Town Square or anything else to feel like left out. But this is kind of where I was just zeroing in on that. So we have the Mosquito Fleet Festival, Foot Ferry Adventures, Saturday Farmers Market, oldest farmers market on the Kitsap Peninsula. I always tell people that. Fathoms of Fun has concerts and festivities throughout the summer. Pawa and Sam does the night markets, which are extremely popular. Waterfront shopping and dining. A walk along our pedestrian footpath, which just gets longer and longer. I'm very excited about the growth of the walkable, foot friendly, foot traffic friendly amenity that is, that leads you to this kind of, all right, goodbye, string of pearls of these little pocket parks and sandy beaches. You know, on Love Kitsap, a post I did a few months ago was just a super, I didn't think of it as a throwaway post, but I thought, oh, this is cute. This is a picture of my daughter on the sandy beach at Rockaway Beach Park. It got like 400 likes and people just gushing, where's this park? How do I get there? And I realized, oh, wow, these little pocket parks in Port Orchard are a huge part of our kind of a little hidden gem. So waterfront piers, the pocket parks, the walkability of the marina, I love on a sunny afternoon, especially on a farmer's market day when the marina is open to the public. When we think about that footpath, that several miles of footpath, what we often don't think about is how easy it is to stroll along the marina. Now we're going to have some marina breakwater construction coming up, but gosh, this is such a beautiful amenity for foot traffic in our community. And really quick, the last few slides when it comes to our brand guide is I did a deep dive and a lot of research into historically. So I'm not making this is all based on actual visitor data. When we think about advertising and telling our story, who are the people that are coming here? Who are our target audiences? So we can craft these narratives and use images that they're going to respond to and compelling narratives that they're going to respond to. So the Seattle Puget Sound Day Trippers, these are just people that pop over on a ferry and discover our community. Maybe they came to Bremerton and popped over on the foot ferry. Maybe they had a plan to come to Port Orchard, or maybe it happened spontaneously. But these are friend groups, couples, and solo adventurers. Then we have our overnight base camp adventurers. These are the people that are booking hotel rooms and our Airbnbs and our short-term rentals that are using Port Orchard as a convenient and more affordable base camp to do other trips around Kitsap and the Hood Canal. They might drive all the way around the Hood Canal and come back to Port Orchard for the night, or even the Olympic Peninsula. So these regional fly-in markets, people that have rented a car, people that have intentionally sought Port Orchard as a center for their 1 to 3 day adventures. And as my research shows, this is the Goose Group drives the largest share of visitor spend, overnight visitor spend. Then we have our boaters, our marina cruisers, can't forget about them. Event and festival goers, people that intentionally plan to come to things like Farmers Market, like the night market, like Mosquito Fleet Festival, Fathoms events, and things like that. Okay, in conclusion, Port Orchard is poised to clarify and strengthen its destination brand identity by leaning into what makes this waterfront community special: our heritage, our events, festivals, welcome community, as well as its walkability and easy ferry connections, its access to iconic Pacific Northwest nature. A mix of clear visual branding, brand signaling, and intentional consumer messaging to target audiences and focus on the waterfront experience will help Port Orchard continue to trend upwards for regional and out-of-town travelers. That is the brand guide.
Good job, Josh. Before I open it up for questions, I'm just going to give my 2 cents here. And really, I'm just going to say, I think I like all of what I've seen. The only thing I would add, Josh, is I would love to see more verbiage that talks about the friendly side of the sound, right? While we talk about welcoming, you don't experience that Seattle freeze on our side. So if you're looking for that Midwestern feel in a Pacific Northwest where we're welcoming, you're going to make friends, you aren't going to get that Seattle freeze. I'd like to hear more of that in the branding, because
that is super good feedback. Thank you.
Really feel like that represents our community.
Yeah, good.
I like what you said there, John. Can we make sure that it's framing us in positive and not railing on, on the Seattle area or something.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. I think that we lean into, again, anchored in community, and that our community is one that is welcoming, friendly, and from images of smiling farmers market vendors to event goers and people shopping on the waterfront. I think that, yeah, big time. Small town. Hey, when I moved back, I had the mixed fortune of living in Seattle and LA for 15 years combined. And when I moved back to Port Orchard, it was such a breath of fresh air exactly for that reason. You spend a couple of years in LA and it's just like, wow, you're facing the crowd. And when I moved back to Port Orchard, the thought came to mind verbatim, I'll never forget, was when I started to think about the branding and how we are, I thought, we're a small town. We should act like it. It should feel like it. Like you should feel that small town sense of knowing people and welcoming people. Yeah, Heidi.
Yeah, I thought you did an excellent job on this. And one thing at the farmers market, we've done 4 different times out of the season, and it's called the DOT survey. So we'll get a lot of information. This is the first year that we've ever done that. And it will show like where the people come from. Did they walk down? Did they drive down? I mean, are you out of town? Are you local? And so it's going to be a really good survey to get lots of information just from the farmers market on that aspect.
Awesome.
I would say excellent choice of color palette. I absolutely love the colors. I like the brightness, but I like the calmer ones. It makes me feel like I can get the buildings, maybe the calmer with the accents of the brighter colors to draw in and pull in any signs we pull up. And I love the color palette. Fantastic.
Okay. Any other feedback for Josh?
Yeah, the only thing I would add is I would echo what's said before about the small town feel. I don't know if you want to use those words, but I think that really captures what we're going for, that it is friendly. It is welcoming.
Yeah, what I'm hoping to capture is, especially with our national and international audiences, is that they have this Pacific Northwest picture in their mind, and a lot of it is Space Needle and ferry. What I want to try to communicate is this is the most authentic slice of small town Pacific Northwest that we have. And when we say small town, it doesn't mean that you're sacrificing food or shopping or any of these experiences. There's really that sense of welcoming and closeness. Yeah, Joe.
Oh, I just wanted to say, Josh, as always, you do such a beautiful job with branding. I really love the phrase anchored in community. I think you hit everything dead on, and I'm really appreciative. Thank you. I think we need a stronger brand, and you're positioning us to do that.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate you. Oh, Connor.
Yeah, I really liked all the feedback and the graphics. I had one comment about the fonts. Is there a way to find the original files for the brand we have now and using those existing fonts so we can have consistency across that? Or I know you had fonts that are similar to that, but maybe creating some type of uniformity between the stamp.
Certainly, if we had and I know Mayor Rob, in our meeting last week, you said that there was that information was on file. I've never seen it. If we had it, I would certainly advocate for swapping those out for the exact font of our logo. Yeah.
Yeah, it was probably a dozen years ago we did a branding exercise, and Connor, could you or Nick, somebody, the clerk's office, if you guys don't have it, the clerk's office will have that. And
dig into the files and see as well.
Yeah, and forward that to Josh, because there's a great body of work that's where the logo that's on our trucks, and that Port Orchard done with the wave underneath, that's where that came from.
Yeah, also maybe going back to that wave, you have that kind of that stacked wave on that top stamp, maybe, which is great, or also maybe seeing an option of utilizing our existing wave and stacking those and how they're crossing over. You kind of see in the mayor's background. I'm not sure if that would look good, but that's a possibility. Just to kind of create some consistency in the types of scales of the logos.
Okay.
Yep. Great job. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Good feedback. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm taking notes on everything everyone says.
Anything else on the branding guide?
I've just got a comment from the Port of Bremerton. and I kind of take this a little bit personally because I feel responsible for it, but in the photographs, I zeroed in on the condition of the breakwater, which, you know, you have the old ship parked next to it and so forth. The old ship photo is great. The breakwater is not a compliment to it in its current condition because it needs to be replaced, and it's going to be replaced. But it just something to be mindful of in the photography, the chosen pictures, that we maybe try to avoid some of those things that don't help the photography. Is that, if I'm saying that correctly?
No, yeah, you're right. Anything that looks shabby, especially you're right. There are portions of that old breakwater that look a little deteriorated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good point.
Okay. Josh, you want to talk about the FIFA stuff a little bit?
Yes. All right. Let's get into. Am I still screen sharing? Can you guys still see this?
Yep.
All right. So this is kind of really getting into it. This is something that the mayor and I poured over for a while last week. So this is FIFA. So a little bit on the front end, we'll kind of just quick breeze through some of the stuff we went through last time. The goal of the document is to present information on FIFA World Cup in Seattle 2026 and how World Cup related tourism may impact Port Orchard, and put forth a strategy to effectively market regional, national, international guests to encourage them to spend time and money in South Kitsap. Our goal is to capture, so there's an estimated up to 750,000. They say 500,000 to 750,000 visitors that will come to the Seattle area for FIFA World Cup. This is a generational opportunity to welcome a record number of visitors to South Kitsap. So we don't know what that will actually mean, feet on the ground. We can very reasonably estimate that the bookings for our short-term rentals and hotels will be full or close to that capacity. So that being said, we want to encourage those people to spend as much time. A lot of these people, so the average length of stay in any FIFA World Cup, I got nerdy. It's all I've been thinking about for the last few months. The average length of stay for an international visitor to a World Cup city is 9 days. That person or people might go to one game. So there is a lot of downtime, and you can only go to the Pike Place Market so many times. I'm really hoping to capture not only as much foot traffic and encourage as many ferry visitors as possible, but encourage the people that are staying here, booking a short-term rental, because we're 40 minutes by ferry to the Seattle. You know, you could leave a waterfront Airbnb or Comfort Inn or wherever you're staying, Fred's Red Cottage. You could leave there and be stepping into Lumen Field in like an hour and 10 minutes, which is incredible. So we also want the people that are staying in our short-term rentals to spend as much time in South Kitsap as possible. They are going to want to adventure around the community, but our whole goal is to capture as much time and money as possible. Projection, 7 to 10% of Metro visitors to Kitsap County, 7 to 10% of the people that come to Seattle. I think it could be higher than that, but that's looking like 50 to 75,000 people. And if Port Orchard captures a market equivalent of our population at the county level, it's a visitor range between 3,200 and 4,500 people. Split 2/3 day trippers, 1/3 overnight guests. So we have just kind of conservative average estimates of what overnight guests spend in a 2 to 3 night range. But again, 2 to 3 nights, that is an average overnight guest. That is not a FIFA overnight guest. Again, the average length of time that international visitor spends in the market in the host city, or we are considered the host city because we're an hour away. You know, we might see week-long bookings be the norm for FIFA guests. So in that means this number would go up significantly. So all that's to say is that there's a lot of money to potentially flow into Kitsap, South Kitsap and Port Orchard in June, July, and potentially August 2026. And people extend their stays. Here is the match schedule. We don't know who's playing yet. There is a lottery on December 5th that will determine all of the teams that will play here. FIFA, if you don't know much about the World Cup, Seattle is not the only city where World Cup is happening in the United States. It's happening in multiple cities, but we're hosting 6 games. And so what I did here was I overlaid Port Orchard events with FIFA events, so we can really start to think about how the World Cup events, which are highlighted in blue, are sandwiched with kind of the regular rhythm of Port Orchard waterfront events. And what you'll notice is that there is no weekend FIFA events. They're on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, which is great. That means that people are going to be looking to come to our farmers market. So when I think about messaging and things like that, our night markets, our Fathoms concerts. Gosh, this is over the 4th of July. I think we have a really compelling story about a small town, like the most memorable 4th of July you'll ever have is in this super awesome Pacific Northwest small town that you didn't hear of until you booked your flight to Seattle and you started getting hit with my Facebook ads. So some of these events are TBD. There's obviously more things that will be added to the mix, but here are the things that we know will be a part of the marketing and event rhythm. So we are really, without adding anything extra, we are really well positioned to offer a lot of value add to our visitors during this FIFA period. Okay.
Is there any talk of adding anything that international visitors might be interested in? I think of something like a white party dinner, things that are happening internationally at cities all over that we could bring locally without adding a bunch of different things, right? Like just a few key signature things that international travelers might relate to.
Totally. I think that's going to fall on, and please, anybody chime in. I think that's going to fall on our individual businesses and event organizers. And I really would love to start to dig in to that with Pawa and whoever else wants to join that conversation. Like, who is, we have some waterfront venues. Like, we know that DFP frequently has trivia nights, live music, drag shows, things like that. We have the WWCA that has events. So especially once we know what cities, what countries we're going to host, I think so. On the city level, I don't think so. But we also have the Bremerton Fan Zone, which is going to be doing a lot of programming as well. They're going to be spending a ton of money. And in the past, we talked about, can we show the game on a big screen? There's a lot of licensing fees and costs associated with that. So it was decided that it's probably not the best use of funds, especially since Bremerton's investing heavily into that. We can kind of siphon off visitors with our foot ferry traffic. But John, I love that idea. I think that'll be a private sector.
Agreed. I don't think the city wants to take that on, but if we can spitball those ideas so that people have them, because maybe we have a bunch of locals that don't know what goes on internationally.
Totally.
Real quick, we have Heidi and then the mayor.
Please.
Yeah. And there's restaurants that already do the sports, they don't have to pay for FIFA.
Correct.
They're already doing it. And then my question is, since I'm on the board of the farmers market, and I see all the, there's a lot of farmers market stuff going on. And when I go back to, because the vendors, they might not realize this. Mm-hmm. And so they need to be prepared for maybe even more people coming in. And any suggestions or how I, present that, or, for, them getting ready for this?
I would love to attend a farmers market board meeting if that would feel appropriate to help kind of unpack some of this stuff, because I think that's a really big component of our visitors experience in the summer.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I feel like this year's farm, maybe I'm just off, but I felt like this summer's farm market felt like some of the busiest I've ever seen.
Oh, it was excellent. And it's also growing. And our next board one, I will let you know, it's the second Wednesday. It will be in November.
Okay. Yeah, whatever makes sense. But I'd love to get out in front of that sooner than later and talk about how we can kind of prepare and educate and welcome. Yeah.
Yes, for sure. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Josh and I have been attending, the Bremerton's fan zone meetings, just because trying to figure out, learning what everybody, it doesn't appear, even if we're in Bremerton, and my conversations with Sam, we're not really planning any new events or festivals,
Right.
nor is Bremerton, but it's making sure that everybody knows what it is we do and the things that we do,
Yep.
making sure our event holders on the farmers market and night market, that we're going to get more people. And
Yeah.
so let's plan for that and amplify those events and make those events even better and more special than they already are.
Yeah, totally. Yes. And the Bremerton Fan Zone will have unique events. They will be screening. They will have a large scale projector screen outside in Quincy Square for every match. And there'll also be concerts, food trucks, and specific events on the weekends and stuff to encourage people to spend more time in Bremerton that I think we can kind of glom onto.
Hey, Josh, is there a way that some of these things that you have done send out to us again?
Absolutely.
That would be awesome. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So now I'm going to unpack the three kind of pillars that I felt like are important. One of them is just straight up marketing, a robust digital marketing strategy that maybe unlike Port Orchard's ever engaged in, using this opportunity. And, we can go back to those numbers that I think it's really going to pay dividends if we have a cohesive, aggressive strategy in telling our story and meeting our guests on the Seattle side using geo-targeting and ads and display and maybe even other tactics. So the second pillar would be waterfront experiences and activities that go a little bit above and beyond the farmers market and things like that, things that we can kind of cultivate homegrown. We have a few ideas that I workshopped with the mayor. And the third thing would be just to the degree that we can, increase amenities and infrastructure. And this really came out of conversation with Sam about what would be, let's say we're getting more guests to night markets and farmers market. What would be the things that we would need to make that a better experience? So I'm going to jump into the market strategy that I am putting forth, and we can answer questions and dig into there. First item would be, so the State Kitsap 26 is a project that I'm a part of on Love Kitsap that we've received county funding. And we are everybody knows this is LTAC season. We're putting together our pitch. So we built the branding and the website, and we're feeling really good about this. It's a beautiful website. So now it's a matter of getting the resources for this full spectrum marketing for the website and in getting a budget to really increase the stakeholder content, whether that's itineraries or experience profiles, or we're going to have, there's some things that we're just all going to have no matter what. And that's like every accommodations listings that we can think of. But then there's other things like a lot of custom itineraries, experiences, and custom media and advertising. And a part of that package is also a custom Port Orchard Kitsap logo badge. So we have our main logo here, and we're offering the opportunity for each community to have a variation of that logo. So that is that first item. The second item I have is really just a really super targeted, thoughtful, using all that brand guide, taking all that and unpacking it into digital ads, and taking that customer data and those target audiences and creating video and photo ads on social media, on YouTube, and potentially in other places that really start to target them. So when they land in SeaTac, when they go to Lumen Field, when they go to the Seattle Center, where the Seattle FIFA fan zone will be, there'll be millions of people at Seattle Center. We can hit them with ads that saying, hey, just another ferry ride away, this friendly, small town, welcoming, authentic. They're going to ride the ferry. So the beautiful thing about our marketing is that people want to ride the ferry. They just don't know we're on the other side. Like, my main goal with this digital marketing, when it comes to day trippers, is just just inserting that one piece of information. They know they want to get on they know they want to ride the ferry. They know they want to go to the Space Needle. They know they want to look for orcas on the ferry. What they don't know is that Port Orchard is on the other side of that ferry, or a ferry ride across on a historic foot ferry. So that's kind of the goal with this marketing spend. I would say mid-May through mid-August, getting relatively aggressive. And that 15,000, that number, you know, people say, well, how much should we spend on marketing? As much as you can afford, and as much as you feel like is appropriate. There is no upper limit. Some brands spend hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. But really it's like, what can we do is what we should do. What's appropriate and reasonable. Pardon me. Analytics, customer data, and forecasting. This is a project that we are pitching to the county. It's a platform called Zartico. They always sound like some weird prescription drug, but that's neither here nor there. And this is bleeding edge customer geolocation and spending data. It's not just where they came from, it's where their credit card was pinged along the way. It is, imagine, so that the dot survey you described, Heidi, I'm familiar with that. Imagine that, you know, times 1,000, where we never have to ask you anything. We don't have to rely on somebody to engage with a whiteboard, because we've been pinging them since they landed in SeaTac, and we understand not only how old they are, what market they came from, but we also understand where they were pinged. And so this is a product that's about $65,000, $70,000. And just to be totally transparent, if Port Orchard doesn't want to spend the $5,000 to buy into this suite, and this is something that we're pitching to all of the municipalities from Bainbridge, Paulsboro, Bremerton, Port Orchard to buy into, the Port Orchard will still be tracked. That data will still be available. What that extra $5,000 does is allows access to staff and training for as many people in our community as we want. So that could be the whole POWA, that could be city, that could be chamber, that could be farmers market. And what that would do, that could be used from everything from, you know, I write for the Polaris, I write a lot of grants, and they want a lot of data. And when we're looking at different, like just grants as an example, this is going to give us, you know, you eliminate the fudge factor where you go, yeah, I know exactly how many people were here this weekend. I know exactly where they came from. I know exactly what they spent. And you can identify pain points. You can identify drop-off points. You can identify strengths that maybe were hidden in the layers of data. So this $5,000 would basically be user seats and training by the Zartico team for as many people in our community as we felt would be beneficial. And when we think about things like LTAC, this has been, so one of the reasons why we're doing this is that some people use different platforms, you know, there's AirDNA to track Airbnb. There is, gosh, I'm blanking on some of the others, but there's all these kind of data customer tracking platforms, and none of them are cheap. They're all super expensive. Datafy is another one that's really popular with Visit Kitsap uses it. This is super competitive price wise, and it does everything that they do put together and more. And when we think about the pain point for LTAC especially, is not knowing you've got to fudge some of the numbers because you go, well, I don't know how many heads and beds. With this type of platform, we will know. And with that $5,000, that just gives us more seats at the table and more training and access to the staff. But Port Orchard, if we get funded by the county to do this, Port Orchard will still have this data. Just wanted to say that.
So, Josh, that's really powerful if this comes to fruition, because it helps us quantify those lodging tax dollars.
Yes.
And investments. You know, we can, you know, everybody's estimating right now, but we could actually, after the event, go, this is really how many people visited and this how many dollars got spent as a result of it. It can really help us make informed decisions going forward.
Data driven, and I don't know how they do it, but they say they can provide 6 months prior data, and they can forecast 6 months in the future trending data. I'm like, I don't know how that crystal ball works.
Scary.
But yeah, you know, it is, you know, with the LTACs, I've been a part of this process now for a few years, and it's almost like you're kind of, especially with smaller organizations, and you're set up to kind of, well, we don't know, but we're kind of asked to pin a number on it. And that doesn't mean that when we get all this data, we go, oh, well, you brought nobody in, so you get nothing. It just gives us the tools to see what's the what and just spread out the numbers so we can say, hey, we're going to allot money to this group as a seed fund because we see the value in this event as a part of the culture and the fabric of our community. And then there's this thing over here that we had no idea that's actually drawing a ton of visitors under the radar that that I had no idea. Just as an aside, I learned recently that the Bethel Saloon, which I've never been in, maybe I should, is drawing international motorcycle enthusiasts. And the new owner of the Bethel Saloon was sharing with my folks that he does $20,000 a month in merchandise sale because people fly in, book these motorcycle experiences that from Seattle that include a stop at the Bethel Saloon because it's the oldest operating biker bar in Washington. Who knew that? I did not. So that's one area. I'm not saying we give Bethel Saloon all tax money. I'm saying there is a lot of there's a lot of data that can be derived from using tools like this. Okay. Ad management, ad creation. We gotta create them. We gotta create the ads. We gotta edit them. We have to publish, manage, and A/B test them. I also there is a 4-week digital domination package, and the Seattle ferry terminals. They have newly installed these big TV video screens, and you can buy into having our message kind of cycle through that in the Seattle ferry terminal, just to drive more and more awareness. We know that the #1 tourist attraction in Washington is a ride on the ferry. It's bigger than the Space Needle. It's bigger than anything, bigger than Pike Place. More people go to the ferry than anything. If we could have a presence, say mid-June to mid-July, I think that would be really powerful. So it's kind of the bulk of marketing that I propose. These next two are events, activities and experiences to enhance the visitor and the local experience of the waterfront. So you'll see on this image here, over here all the way on the right are the metal herons on the waterfront path. Has anybody seen those walking? They're near Damn Fine Pizza by the footbridge. They're really cool. They're kind of, you might have missed them, but I saw these they're kind of the rusted, kind of weathered steel fabricated, and I thought this is just really cool. And I'm passionate about more beautification, more art. I think the experience of public art not only creates a lot of civic pride, it creates a sense of place and a sense of branding. So I spoke with the mayor, and I talked about expanding on these herons and doing a sea life scavenger hunt where we fabricate. There's plenty of metal artists, and I've priced some of these out, where we create a series along the walking path where it's a permanent installation, but it's kind of like something that families can do together, or you just kind of experience passively as you're walking by. But it's a series of Salish Sea marine life species kind of along the walking path to add to the experience of being on the waterfront. And it could be a part of the second thing that I think we should do, which is a kind of a custom trifold that's a Port Orchard passport and a walking map. And it unpacks the Sea Life Waterfront Scavenger Hunt. And it's just something that would be at the farmer's market and potentially around downtown or at the Chambers or at Joe's or near the marina and ferry terminals and things like that. It really is targeted towards our visitors for this summer period that gives them, everything from a walking map to the at a glance foot ferry schedule to, here's really you name it. And we could do a Port Orchard passport, which I unpack in a few slides, where it's like visit to different locations, get a stamp, or maybe we work. And this was something that I would really need the buy-in and the partnership of something like PAWA, where it's like, or in a chamber, where it's like, let's find some businesses that you come in and you get a stamp, and maybe you get 10% off, or maybe you get a little, if you get all your stamps, you come back to Joe's or someplace that's open most days a week, and you can get a little sticker or a piece of swag or something fun like that. I know there are other resources. I know the walking maps are super popular, but I think something that's condensed really does pulls a lot of elements into one would be good for next summer. And this last piece is really the conversational, something really derived from a lot of my conversations with Sam. And when I said, what would really enhance night market? What would enhance, the fireworks, the fathoms, the this, that, and the other? And she just said, more seating, more infrastructure, places to sit. She goes, wow, one of the biggest things I noticed on the night market is people don't have a place to sit. I go, well, that's really interesting. And again, this is, I don't know, Mayor and I kind of went back and forth a little bit about this, how much things cost, the budgets, the actual feasibility, but it's something to consider. And maybe FIFA World Cup is the springboard that gets us to a point where we have a little bit more waterfront amenities, especially as like the lift stations coming online. We get this cool little element, the overlook. It's looking really great. What I noticed with the boulevard, these paved pads, is that we have one, I think there are 3 or 4 paved pads, and we have one picnic table on each and room for another. So is it possible? And I know these picnic tables aren't cheap, but is there a way, as we look ahead, to kind of tackle some infrastructure things? I have portable toilets on here, but Mayor Rob was also letting me know that there are new toilets that will be coming online on the weekends, and that there are other toilets down by the boat ramp. So there's actually 3 restroom stations. I think that's really great. Updated waymarker sign. The waymarker sign by the Foot Ferry Terminal is dreadfully out of date, so we definitely are going to update the design of this. And one of the last elements I have on here is public art and beautification. So here's a mock-up of a piece of wall on the pedestrian path near the Spinney Park that is right now blank. How can we, I can work with somebody like Sherwin-Williams or Lowe's and get paint donated, and maybe we do a design contest with local artists to do something maritime themed or Carlisle themed, and solicit some, make it a community effort to select.
What's wrong with what you just put there? That's beautiful.
Yeah,
It's
I
the
love it.
Carlisle and the sunset. I mean,
no, nothing wrong.
Find me an artist and
Paint that.
we'll make it happen, man.
I love it.
I also love
we don't need a process. Let's go do it.
Okay. I like that. I'm all about.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. And I think, there's a lot of studies about public art and public safety, public art and tourism, and it's a win-win. The more art you have up that is publicly available and visible, the better it is for a community across the board. So I put up a couple of mocks of different ways that we can do public art. It could be permanent, it could be on utility boxes, but it also could be temporary art that is staged, that is specific to the FIFA crowd. Another thing that Mayor and I talked about that there was, I think, some enthusiasm in is taking some of those designs, the lino cut icons, the anchored in community logo stamp, and doing some lamppost banners along our waterfront, just to really give a sense of welcome, give a sense of brand, give a sense of place. That's like, hey, we're Port Orchard, we're proud of our waterfront, we want to make it look nice, we're going to welcome you here. And these are not something that's a super expensive thing to do.
Yeah, Gary and I talked about this last week. Backing up to that is those light poles are actually the ports on the waterfront, but partnering with the port. And another thing I noticed when I was walking the waterfront the other day, the garbage cans that are along the wooden boardwalk that are your guys's, really could use some attention and potentially, be replaced. And I, once again, I know those are expensive too, because we've got that new observation deck. We should have a picnic table on it. We need a garbage can on it. Just the benches alone that we've been putting on, they're about 7,000. Picnic tables more than that. Garbage cans are about, $5,000 to $7,000. Unfortunately, the good quality ones. So, spitballing this, I think we're looking at probably at 35,000 in lodging tax requests that I would hope to see come forward from someone to do those marketing activities. And without a mural, I think spitballing, we're looking at probably 50,000 from the general fund, and we should probably add 25 to that if we want a really nice mural on that waterfront. The mayor's budget, Josh and I talked about this Friday, and I've talked to Noah. Mayor's budget is too far along in the process, but the finance committee happens to be meeting tomorrow evening to look at that and to make recommendations. So I kind of teed that up to Councilmember Morrissey, who sits on the Finance Committee, that just giving you some numbers that you might be asking Mr. Crocker to look for.
Yep. Okay. I want to be mindful of time. So this is really great stuff, Josh. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any just high level stuff for Josh before we move to the next agenda item?
And that was basically the end. The rest was really getting into the weeds of different marketing flows that we don't need to talk about now.
Perfect. Mr. Morrison.
Yeah, so just really quick, Josh is going to be speaking, thank you, at our October 30th event, which is all about the first in a series of group educational technical assistance on FIFA. And at that, my hope is Josh is going to be able to lay out a bit of a vision for Port Orchard. It's my hope that Josh has the support of everybody to make that happen. I think this is the second time I've seen a great presentation from Josh, but he needs help. Love Kitsap is a small group of 3 people who are mostly online. So, Sarah, maybe Paula, all the things that are possible with our downtown. Anyway, I'll leave it there for now. But we're hoping to hear what Port Orchard's doing on October 30th. And it might be a little bit of a dice roll, but whatever Josh says, I sure hope we give him our support.
Yep.
I want to make a comment about about the port's obligation in Port Orchard. We recognize, and last year's budget put money in the budget to make some improvements in downtown Port Orchard, and the timing and so forth didn't allow it to happen this year, but it's on the plan for next year. And Rob, I'll give you a call later on to talk about some of those costs and things that we might want to shoot for and what the port can do, because I'm very sincerely intent on making some good improvements down there that'll benefit the community.
Thank you, Gary. And we met with Arnie, staff and I met with Arnie and oh gosh, who's running your marina right now? I went to high school with her. Who's
Jim
your
Rothman?
No. Your marina person downtown.
Oh,
Kathy?
Kathy. Gosh, we went to high school together. How could I blank on her? Anyway, Kathy and Arnie and I and staff met, and we're working on an ILA to memorialize what, we've got basically a new park down there in front of the marina pump station, and who's going to empty the garbage, who's going to mow the grass, and we're working on designating some parking for the boaters, but and so I want to know that there's great conversations happening, and we're really staff and I have been already meeting with your staff to identify things that we need to tackle and take on.
Great, that's great.
One thing I did want to ask is, if we're putting up these posters and these flyers and everything in downtown and making it look just awesome, are we going to be fixing the light poles, and are we going to be fixing the overhang to make it all match and blend with it and it not be so argumentative against each other?
Yeah, I wish,
Come on, Rob.
well, it's 10 years ago. If you divide downtown into 4 quadrants, the 2 sides of the street, 2 blocks, 2 sides of the street. 10 years ago, replacing those lights and the power that they would need was $1 million per quadrant. So it's $4 million. It's easily would double. I just have to be honest to say that I don't have $8 to $10 million to fix the lights or the marquee downtown. At least not in the short run. And why we discuss it in quadrants, I think where the theater is and the restaurants that are over there is likely the last block if it ever does redevelop, so that if we're going to prioritize, you bite them off, take it in bite-sized pieces. And so that probably the quadrant that we would do first, because the other quadrants are likely going to be taken care of in development activity.
Okay. I'm just saying, if we're putting a flyer up, is it gonna, you know, that's great that we have these banners and things hanging that are even going to support them to hang up there. That's
They
kind of
aren't
my
big,
aspect.
great big banner. We can't hang a banner across the street, but these are
Right.
more, what are they, Josh? 18 by 12, and they hang off of the light. They're more, they could be on Bay Street where what Josh was depicting was the Port of Bremerton's light fixtures, decorative light fixtures that are on the waterfront side,
Okay.
near the marina.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, doke. Hearing nothing else, I'm going to swiftly move it on to we're having a change in sewer rates coming up in the way that we charge on that. I'm not sure if this is going to be Director Ryan, Director Crocker, who's handling for us today.
Well, I'm ready to go with the presentation materials, and Director Crocker's here, and I do have about 20 minutes left before my next meeting, so
Yeah, I don't want to go that long. Give us a 60,000 foot view.
All right. So we got Director Crocker here. So if I could get share permissions. Here we go. Good afternoon or good morning, everybody. Sorry, it's not afternoon yet. All right. So just some brief background. The city has been working on updates to its general sewer plan for the last few years. We just recently presented that to City Council. We've had some sessions in work study. Along with the general sewer plan, we also took a look at our sewer rates. And so this is some background into our sewer rates and how the calculations show what the need is for future service. So I'm just going to jump into this presentation here at a certain spot. And for some reason, it's not letting me. Try this again. I'll just screen through here this way. Can everybody see my screen?
Yeah.
So with this, looking at the rates, we did a cost of service analysis. We had a consultant at FCS Group that did this work with the city. When we look at it, we look to see what proportionate share residential and non-residential, which is businesses, should pay. When we look at that, the comparison is keep in mind that a lot of businesses like restaurants, fast food, produce lots of fats and oils and are the hardest on our sewer system. They clog the pipes, they impact pump and lift stations, wear and tear on pumps. We have special staff that does fats, oils, and grease inspections at these organizations and businesses. So it does take a higher level of service to maintain. It's all about allocating the costs. So what piece of the pie each should be paying. So I'm going to just kind of go through here and I can come back for questions real quick, or if they come up. So we did notice right off the bat that the cost of service, residential customers were paying more than what their proportionate share should be compared to non-residential. So that's what this indicates right here. Also, historically, the city was paying, and Director Crocker can correct me if I'm wrong, but we were on a flat-based model where it was a flat rate that everybody was paying. We are going to a model that's recommended that it's going to be proportionate based off the consumption of water.
So this methodology is taking it a couple of years ago, we went to a consumption model with our water. So how much water you use is how much you get charged. In this analysis, we're going to measure the winter time water usage, which we won't have your irrigation usage. And that will be the basis for your sewer charge. So it'll be, so residential will still be a flat charge, but when it comes to a commercial account, we will charge based on how much effluent that you're putting into the pipe and impacting the system.
What was that 5% on that last one before that rate design? Yeah, right there, the 5% of the cost of service. Is that what's going up, or what is that?
That's just the average metric, I believe, right, Director Crocker? Is that correct?
That's the range. Yeah.
The range, yeah, plus or minus.
So essentially, Councilmember Fenton, you're looking for both of those to be within 5% of the yellow line. And that's why we need a rate adjustment, because you're seeing residentials are more than 5%, non-residentials are 24%. We'd like them to be more in line.
On par.
Correct. Yep.
This is just, now we're going to get into our rate design. Current rate structure, there's 21 different classes. Each class has multiple different rates. This was burdensome on finance, difficult for customers to understand their bill, administratively burdensome, obscure relationship between the costs and services provided. We're trying to simplify it and just make it more user-friendly to understand your bill and to process the bills. Talking just about, so Port Orchard and the West Sound Utility share the treatment plant that everyone should be aware of. Everybody measures the treatment plant, West Sound and the city. We measure in equivalent residential units. That's how we measure what our consumptions are based on how big the house is, how big, how many gallons, so many gallons equals 1 ERU. So one ERU is 1 residence. So we calculate that the average ERU consumes 180 gallons per day. I'm sorry, that's for residential, non-residential. Sorry, I'm trying to go too fast here. So our non-residential customers are averaging 180 gallons per day is an ERU. And I believe down here we'll get into the residential. And I believe that was Noah, is that
117.
Well, yeah,
117 right there. Sorry. So our residential, it's quite a reduced amount of water per day that the average residence 1 ERU is using compared to the 180 gallons that a business uses on average. Just gonna jump in here. I could go into the rate calculation, but it gets a little complex. And would it be helpful if I pulled up the new proposed rate sheets? Is everybody tracking so far?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is this the old one or the new one, this rate calculation?
So I'll
new one, 2026.
I'll jump here. This was, I apologize. This was such a big presentation. I think we spent an hour and a half in work study, just going through it.
Oh, yeah, go back to that previous one there.
Okay. Actually, let me see here. Residential. I'll go sample bill residential. So under the city of Port Orchard hasn't had any rate increases since 2020. So everybody was paying this flat fee, 163. And under this change, this is old information. There has been one update, so these did increase a little bit, but there is a proposed reduction for residential customers. So this is the current payment for bi-monthly, and there is a pretty significant reduction. Not quite this amount, but it is quite a bit lower, and I'll get into that table in a minute here. We compared a small school. Currently, we looked at a small school that was currently paying $646 bi-monthly. Under this new metric, they would be paying $234. We looked at a large restaurant, and when we talk about large restaurants, it's a bit misleading. So it's your high quantity generators, your fast food, your I don't want to say any specifically by name, but fast food, hundreds of customers a day, they are going to see an increase.
Not hundreds, probably thousands.
It's almost like double and then some.
It's triple. It's nearly triple.
Yep. And then one of the biggest changes is the county jail. The county jail is our biggest consumer of water and sewer and generators of sewer in the city. There has been conversations and they are aware of this. So their bill will significantly increase.
Remember though too, these commercial accounts are being based on their flow and their impacts to the system. The current model doesn't do that. And that's why your fast food restaurant and the jail in particular, that jail, the citizens of Port Orchard are subsidizing the sewer bill for the county jail. That's something that needs to be split by the bed days and all of the users in Kitsap County, all of the cities and the county.
Well, isn't the taxpayers gonna pay a lot? Are you saying the taxpayers right now are gonna pay more, or they did, but then it will decrease?
The citizens of Port Orchard are subsidizing to the tune of $150,000 a year the sewer bill for the county jail. What we're proposing to do is this will be divided. The county will divide that by the number of prisoners, and your bed, what it costs to house a prisoner in the jail is going to go up because to make the county whole. And so Port Orchard will pay its proportional share. Bainbridge Island, Bremerton, Paulsbo are going to pay more for their jail services, and the citizens of Port Orchard won't be the ratepayers of Port Orchard won't be subsidizing the jail bill any longer.
All right, I'll go to the next slide. This was the sample bill for a small restaurant. So there is a slight decrease when comparing a small restaurant. So previously, what you'd see at 489 would go down to approximately 469, 470 with the new increases that I'll show at the very last slide. Seeing if I get into this. This is old information. I will pull up the new information, but I'll just illustrate the fact that we're, again, haven't had an increase since 2020. This is what we would be looking at if we did nothing. Oh, I'm sorry. Is this non-ERU? I'm sorry, non-residential?
I believe, Dennis, this is showing if we don't change the methodology.
We don't change.
And stuck with our current rate structure, what the impact would be to our residences.
Yep. This is misleading, so I want to make sure we're using the right one. So I'm going to come back to that. And this is a comparison of what we looked at. Port Orchard is still, when we're comparing to Poulsbo, Gig Harbor, Kitsap, Bremerton, even this would be our residential here. This would be our non-residential.
Yeah,
no, Dennis, that is the current rate and
current rate versus proposed
rate.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. So
yes.
you will see, and so he's somewhere. Do you have that slide? Let's just go to that slide, Dennis.
That last slide. Yep.
Yeah. Let's just go there now, because I think that gets us right here to understand that what most people just need to know is there's going to be a short decrease for the first 3 years in the overall per ERU utilized, while that doesn't necessarily mean that everyone will see a decrease in their overall bill. A majority of people will see a decrease in their overall bill for several years as we work our way back up to our current rate. But there are some heavy use account holders that will see a increase in their bill when this takes effect, which is the long and the short of it.
So just looking at this, that 4.5%, that's what's needed to fund our operations, our capital, ongoing operations, and assist us in what we pay to the South Kitsap Regional Wastewater Facility. So under this model, with the 4.5%, in today's date, a residential customer is paying $163 bi-monthly. They will see decrease in year 1. Still decreased in year 2, and then in 2028 they will start to see minor increases in their rates to maintain that.
I think you're talking to a different slide you're not showing us.
Yeah.
Are you seeing this one right here?
We're seeing the original.
The 4.5%. You don't see 4.5%?
We don't see that. No.
I'm going to stop share and try to share it again.
So while
Dennis,
go ahead, Councilmember.
Will this come to the full council?
This has been in front of the full council.
a couple of times.
Twice.
And you guys are supposed to intend to take action on it on Tuesday night.
Yeah, it's on Tuesday night's agenda. We're gonna vote.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure why it was in front of economic development and tourism.
Because we were asked to put it on the agenda.
Yeah, the businesses hadn't seen this just yet.
So we did have a public hearing at the last meeting as well. Can you see it now with the 4.5%?
Yes.
Okay.
Was
so
4.5%, was 4.5 at our, I know we did it at our work study, because the information we got was 3%, and then NOAA presented 4%, and I was kind of confused. And now I'm like, oh, we got 4.5% now?
It was 3.5%, and we gave the details as why the general sewer plan recommends 2 additional full-time employees, one in year 1, 2026, and one in another one in year 2, 2027. To fund those operational needs, it was increased to 4.5, and I think the difference was about $1.50 by monthly.
Now, does Bainbridge and Silverdale and Bremerton know that they're going to be sharing the jail?
They already do.
They already
They're sharing that. They're just gonna have to pay more.
Yeah, and they know that.
Well, that's up to the county to tell them.
It's been spoke of at regional meetings.
But right now, Port Orchard ratepayers are paying more than the equitable share to maintain the jail's utilities.
Any last questions on the sewer? We got one more topic, and we got a hard out. I got a hard out in 7 minutes. So, thank you, Director Ryan. Appreciate it.
Sorry, I was so quick here. I know we didn't have much time.
Yes, you did a great job. Thank you. DCD, anybody got any pre-application meetings to speak of?
I have 2 to mention. We're going to be meeting with the owners of the Rite Aid property at the corner of Bethel and Lund. They're proposing to tear down that building and replace it with 3 freestanding buildings. So we haven't had the meeting yet, so we'll see what comes of that. The other one, we received a subdivision pre-application meeting for the Diaz Meadows subdivision. This was the one where we had a lot of conversation about access from the adjacent properties off of Anderson Hill Road. So they're showing a subdivision that includes a culvert and or a bridge culvert to access the subdivision from Old Clifton Road. The apartments were proposed out along the frontage, and then this is a residential subdivision towards the rear of the property. But I have no idea if and when this will go forward. We're still, we have not met with them yet. So those are the only 2 updates I have for you.
Great. Thank you, Director
If
Bond.
that proposal would have the apartments still along the frontage and then this subdivision in the back, or
I don't know what would happen along the frontage. They would have to reboot that because the road bisects the site now where the apartments would have been.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Any questions on the pre-app meetings? Thank you. Okay, let's just wrap up with a little good of the order here.
Yeah, well, I got a good of the order. It kind of has to do with, I need a second from my city council members, but I do believe it has quite good merit to, at a work study, to go back over our Cabernet license, because we've only heard from one restaurant. I believe our local restaurants need to be heard too. And I've talked to some of them, and I think it would be a really good thing that we want to listen to them, support them, and hear a little bit more on the Cabernet license. And it's the staff doesn't even have to do anything on just to present that, of just for us council members to talk about it. And so I think that would be a really good thing.
This isn't the forum where there aren't 4 council members here to bring.
No,
that
this is
back
my
to
work.
life.
I know. This is
So
a
tomorrow evening's council member in the good of the order.
no, it's not written down, and I will not go that way. This is a study
There aren't 4
session.
council members here.
Well, on a study
Well,
session,
we
you
could make a recommendation. The committee could make a recommendation, and I would second, I guess, a discussion item recommendation.
just like how I got fluoride on a work study, it was with through a session. It was a committee. And that's how I got fluoride on a work study, is through this type of a thing. It's not to get 3 votes, because it's not written in our code and it's not in our bylaws. And so I'm going through this route to get it on work study, and this is the correct way to do it.
Okay, so I think what I hear, council member, is you would like to make a recommendation to add this topic as a topic of discussion to a future study session of council.
Yes.
And Fred would like to see that as well. We'd like to make that coming forward. I don't know if we're going to make it in this next month, meeting here in October. It may have to be November, because I have no idea what's on that agenda, but we will circle back with the mayor and staff and see if we can't get that as a discussion topic.
Right.
Now, I would look to make sure that if you're going to have somebody that we have that any testimony, if they can write it ahead of time, anything that they can provide to us, so that we have something to talk about, and kind of go from there. So I will circle back with mayor and team and see if we can't get that handled.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Anything else for good of the order today? I went super long, so I want to thank all those who made it with us. We had a lot of really great meat in today's meeting. So thank you, Josh, for all the branding stuff. Thank you to staff for helping us put this together. I will not belabor this, and we will adjourn this meeting at 9:58. Thank you, committee.
Thank you, Josh.